Look at Dogecoin. So tonight we're going to look at the where we're at in alt season and try to. I literally haven't been able to get in front of my computer to work on charts or anything all day until just now. So you guys are going to be sharing with me as I just work on my charts, do a little Q&A, hang out. It's gonna be kind of a casual session. I don't have anything prepared, but I did want to look at. Where we're at in the Bitcoin market cycle. So I'm gonna give everybody a minute to join. I'm gonna amp up the music a little bit for myself. All right, take a look at comments. Hello from Oklahoma. What part of Oklahoma? I've got friends that live outside of Oklahoma City. I forget the name of the town, and I have a coworker that lives in Tulsa, basically. What else we got here? From Buenos Aires. Fantastic. Man, that is an awesome place. Canada? What part of Canada? I exchanged some DOT for ADA. Good thing I just entered GRT position. Is GRT pumping? Oh, it's starting to a little bit. Oh, this is the Bitcoin chart, so. Hey, good evening, Bruno. All right, let's take a look at the general market. I haven't had a chance to even look at this is my markets list here. The DXY, what's the DXY doing? You know, it's hovering right around that 91 resistance. It is. I have not done any work on the DXY in so long. But yeah. We're below this trend line still. Hit 92 and came back off of it. Is that going to be resistance there, 91? See what happens. I expect this, I would think that this is going to be a dead cat bounce, but that's, we'll have to see. All right, I'll look at gold here real fast. What's gold doing? Gold's still below that trend line. It's still kind of like, for me, it's not looking too great, but, the macro is super strong for gold. See if Bitcoin continues to beat it like a red-headed stepchild. Silver's looking a lot better. Silver is, but it's still below this bottom. Well, I kind of forced that trend line in there. But yeah, it's just consolidating here further. Okie dokie. This is my SPX 500. What's the equities looking like? Let's get the crypto. See where we're at on the New Orleans. Awesome. Northeast Oklahoma near Tulsa. Very nice. Yeah, I had my Doge-wave music up. All right. Let's take a look at, well, of course, Bitcoin's it had this little dip. There was some news. I don't know if you guys saw the news. I briefly saw something about, let's see if I got a Cointelegraph here. Somebody pulled up. I think I had, oh, no, I don't know where I saw it. Something about India is thinking about banning Bitcoin. And I think it kind of tanked on that. Now it's recovering. Coin desk. Let's see who they got some news on the India thing. I don't know if anybody saw that news, a little blurb about India banning. Talk about that. Crypto. Seems like FUD to me. I don't know how they would do that. Reuters, CNBC, and Yahoo Finance all picking up on it. So it just came through to the AP, obviously. India will propose a law banning cryptocurrencies, fining anyone trading in the country, even holding such assets, a senior government official told Reuters. I don't see that going over well, but we'll see. That's interesting to watch if that was this. That's interesting. I've seen articles like this a bunch of times before, and it's always like somebody was talking off the cuff, and it's not, or they greatly misunderstood normally. Interesting. Thoughts on ADA? The chart, I was looking at ADA earlier. I almost tweeted something. Look how coiled up it is. All right. So I've kind of got this like, I cloned this trend line here. This trend line works in a lot of places. Sorry. why does TradingView have to do that? Where it changes my trend line. I cloned it. I don't want to move the angle of it. All right, but yeah, this clone trend line down here. You got some, you know, it goes all the way back. You can keep going with it, but we found some support right at this level. I've got this support level in here. Where we at on that level? Well, it fell below that. I mean, ultimately, really, your supports, I think, what is that, 103? I mean, $1 psychologically, that's the battleground, really. But a little above where this wick down was too, these touches. Pretty much anything above that, as we consolidate below this downtrend on the USD chart, that's pretty bullish. Let's look at the BTC chart. I was looking at the BTC chart earlier. Yeah, we've got a pretty important level it's coming into. It fell below this outer trend line I had. Let me show you where that trend line came from, if I can. Yep. It's this trend line cloned. But now we should probably adjust these trend lines anyway. I probably haven't adjusted these in a while. I think ADA's held up a lot better than I even thought it would, to be honest with you. I thought it was going to fall back harder than this. Like, I was not really worried about a big sell to news, but I thought it would have slumped a little bit more than this. But you look, ultimately, it's above this really important. Where'd that come from? Hold on. I'm going to show you that level. Yeah, you really want to stay above that level. So that's the important level. It did fall below that. That's now resistance on the BTC chart. But nonetheless, I think it held up a little bit better than I thought it would. But on the BTC chart, it's not looking too hot, is it? It's trying to form support right there at that level I had. Let's go to a daily. Yeah, right through there. You can see that level. What level is that? So that's worth trying to find support and bottom on the BTC chart. It's just a matter of, you know, follow the leader now. Bitcoin continues to firm up, but it's consolidating pretty strongly. This could be a giant bull flag. That's the other thing I was looking at. This is like a gargantuan potential bull flag. But you can draw. I don't know that's so much a bull flag, actually. I don't like it as a bull flag. It's more this. I need to get to these outer touches here to draw that formation properly. So this is probably the formation you want to be watching in a really long time frame. See what happens here. But it's consolidating. I mean, it has such a huge run. This is not bad. I did lose this trend line though, so that you have to really kind of retake this, or really show that you're gonna. Well, let's put it down. Let's draw it at the edges here. All right. Yeah, it's got some work to do, but it's consolidating nicely. Like I'm not too worried about it. It looks pretty good to me. Yeah, exactly. The whole India was super supportive, and now all of a sudden they're going to ban all crypto. It's just like, what? Oh, whatever. So I think somebody was misunderstood or something. Do you think it'll catch a bid if EIP 1559 goes well? ETH, you mean? Or Bitcoin? If EIP 1559 goes well, Ethereum, I mean, I think Ethereum is probably going to be pretty bullish here because, you know, it was all the gas fee news was circulating, and now they're, you know, there's multiple layer 2s coming online right now, and you know, they're trying to get the gas fees under control. And then Vitalik came out with that updated. You know, he said basically they can move around some of the phases of the ETH 2.0 launch and basically just do the merge and the docking earlier and get off of proof of work and get on proof of stake before they do sharding even. Just make it like one proof of stake network. So I mean that's what I gathered when I read it. So and then finish figuring out sharding later. So he was proposing that. So it may move ETH 2.0 faster, which is you know, potentially bullish. But EIP 1559, yeah, with the burning of ETH, pretty bullish. Tell Ben he's conservative. Ben who? At Bailey Smiley said Link. Hello, hey, from Java. Wow. Let's take a look at Link. Oh, what's my chart looking like? Yeah, so I had this like, I guess I was watching this at some point, right? Ultimately, and it's really following that line. I drew that. I'm pretty certain I drew this line that it's now kind of like riding along the bottom side before it broke it and did any of this. But the upper part of these outer touches is what you want to get outside of to have a trade on. So you want to get above this level right here. That's what I'm waiting on, to put a trade back on Link. Dot, kind of the same thing. You want to get out here. I did put a trade on Dot actually when I saw that we, you know, breakout retest resumption, as you guys would know. When we saw resumption right here, I put a trade on actually. So I have a trade on Dot right now. Put it on right there actually. ETH I have a trade on because it's outside of this I was watching. So ETH, breakout, retest, resumption. I should have tweeted this. I'm sorry. I guess I missed tweeting this, but I did put a trade on right there. Link I'm waiting on. ADA I'm waiting on. So I just have trades on ETH, BTC. My trades in BTC were all, I did post those. I had already had my kind of breakout trades on, and then I put one more on over here. So now I'm just waiting. Wondering if Link correlates with ETH more so than other projects. Hey, well, is Link correlated? In my experience, no. I don't think it has been too tightly correlated with ETH, but let's take a look. We can do a compare. So here's the Link USD chart. I'm just going to throw the ETH USD chart on here. Just throw ETH on an orange. Let's see how tightly correlated they may be. Maybe they're more correlated than I think. I don't know. Yeah, so I mean, they're going to be loosely correlated, right? But you see a pretty big disconnect right there. A fair disconnect right there. And then they're pretty, you know, all through here, it's looking pretty close. And then you have ETH getting strong while Link lagged, or kind of right here, early part. And then, you know, Link, I guess it did pull Link up a little bit. But this is all of them following the leader on Bitcoin. Yeah, they're pretty correlated all through here. You see, obviously, there's a lot of correlation between ETH and Link right here. ETH is obviously, you see the price that ETH's at now, it's recovered, and Link is lagging currently. But Link historically, you know, it does pump at different times from the rest of crypto because it's an oracle. It works in a different space, so the news and the hype cycle around it are a little bit different. But it's consolidating. Link itself is consolidating nicely to me, and looks like it's going to break out here pretty soon. Just need some sort of positive news of some type. And the last time this huge run up here was because I believe, you know, obviously ETH and everybody else, he's playing follow the leader, but we had a specific big move. Maybe this right here, and Link when BlockFi said they were going to be supporting it. So I think these big green candles here might have been the BlockFi announcement. So you just need something like that to break it out and let it catch up. You know. Anthony, on the question about the 2 Bitcoin at 60,000, I'm not a financial advisor. Oh man, I'm always forget my disclaimer. So yeah, so a disclaimer: I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not certified to give you financial advice. It's just my opinion. I'm sharing my thoughts. And if you end up following my advice, you'll probably end up living in a van down by the river. Now, hashtag van by the river. What I see on Bitcoin is I was getting a little bit concerned about. Now, I talked about a potential second sell-off right behind this one. I'll show you where the precedence is for that last cycle. And I thought maybe because we had moved up in price more, we were going to be earlier tracking some things from last cycle. So I was concerned with if you see this trend line right here, if shorts and market participants saw this as a double top, quote unquote. I wasn't worried about double top, but I was more just thinking about the psychology of the rest of the market. If we got under this line for any length of time, and it was right here I was mostly concerned with it when we got under here, and I was like, okay, if we resume down basically, I was going to be a little bit concerned, and specifically this line here too that we ended up drawing later, but you know, you get the idea. I was concerned that a lot of paper hands basically would sell, a lot of shorts would come in, and the FUD machine was going to drag it all the way back to this trend line right here. That's what I was really afraid. That's what I was. I mean, it wasn't so much afraid, but that's what I thought could, and it still. I mean, it very well could have happened, right? So all this consolidation here, it could have broken down, and so I was being defensive. So as y'all know, probably, if you don't, I somehow I sniffed this sell-off out, to the day. Like I literally figured out Sunday night, this night, it was going to be a big dump, and sure enough, it was a big dump that very night. This wick is what I called out on Twitter. And it was a combination of just looking at the price action and looking at some on-chain metrics. So, and also looking at like the order book. Here's what I was looking at, just so y'all know, when I figured this was going to sell off. I was just looking at the 3-day, and I saw all these green candles on the 3-day. And they started to add some velocity. And I saw a bunch of stuff happening on-chain where a bunch of Bitcoin was flowing into exchanges. So this really sets up for a quick, I thought it was going to be a quick dump and a much faster recovery than it ended up being. So when the recovery, but it did dump hard, and then it did recover relatively fast. So I was pretty close on that, but it didn't recover as fast as I thought. I thought it was going to be this V down and then right back up, right? And then we would, but because it didn't do that, because it took longer to recover, my thought was, okay, maybe enough market participants are going to see this a double top again. You get, we had some FUD, if I recall, right through here that caused a couple of these little wicks here, but then the FUD didn't work. It pushed up. But if the FUD had worked and paper hands sold and shorts had come in, I was looking for this trend line, right? So I was watching for this trend line to come into play and to be able to pick back up. So I took profits here, bought back all through here, and I took profits here. I was hoping to get back in here, but I ended up having to get back in and partly at here and then the rest up here. So lost a little ground there, but ultimately it didn't end up costing me too terribly much because we did consolidate here for at least a little bit. But the reason I was worried about that, if we go back to last cycle, so I'm trying to answer your question on the 60K. I'm giving you a very long answer, so just bear with me, okay? This is to answer your question on the 60K. I'm kind of also teeing up what I'm going to talk about in a little bit. I've been keenly aware of this extended period of time right here. Here it was, where we had a pop and then a big. So, I guess in theory we could sell something like this, but look at this from May of 2017 all the way to August. Price was basically flat. So we had this peak here, and then you can count these peaks here. So from May, it took May, June, July, August. It's like 3 or 4 months to recover from what the spike was right here. And then from here, June, July, August, it was like 2 months of basically sideways. And pretty much, this price action before we... So this is what I was kind of I was thinking this type of elongated fight with a key level. This was 3,000 on the last cycle, right? 3,000 was kind of the psychological level we fought with last time. And that was roughly double the prior all-time, or closer to triple the prior all-time high. Well, we're at triple the prior all-time high now, right? The all-time high was 20,000. So you look at this, right? This is where it fought with the prior all-time high, I believe. Is this it here or is it here? Yeah, is this it here? And then so about 3 times the prior all-time high, it also stagnated for quite a bit. All right? And so that's kind of what I was thinking of. We're at 3 times... 600% move. We're at 3 times the prior all-time high. Let's go to my BLX. Well, so let me answer your question directly about the 60,000. My opinion, it's not financial advice. Because we broke out to the upside, I think it's more probable that we go ahead and make another leg up, and that stagnation where we fight with a really key psychological level is not going to be 50 or 58,000. So I was wondering, 58,000, basically 60,000 is a pretty big psychological level. It's above 50 though. So that's why I was thinking 50 makes more sense to be really the holdup. But we were above 50 for quite a bit. We fell back below it and got back above it here. So because we broke back out and we're well above 50, and we're staying above 50, that's kind of the main. And then 60,000 though is another really critical level because it's roughly 3 times the prior all-time high. So 58 to 60,000 is a really important level. It's, again, 3 times the prior all-time high. Because we broke out and it looks like we're wanting to continue here, looks like we're headed for a continuation, we've got a little bit of a continuation pattern, I would say that, as Jordan would say, the risk is to the upside, and I would say most likely it's more probable at this point that we go ahead and make another leg up to the 70s, maybe all the way up to 100,000, and then stagnate at maybe 100,000, a key psychological level. Okay, that's what I think. So you already have a pretty valid entry here. It's not absolutely textbook perfect, but it's really close. You have this trend line that we came really close to touching right here just now, a little bit ago. It came really close to the support level right here. And this is the key level I was watching, 59,665, right? That's the, what's that the data now? 12, go back to my, 8 hour. It's the top of the 8 hour here. And then it came down. You see price just interacted with it on the 8 hour quite a bit. That's the level I was really watching. But since we came back below that, we basically, where's this? Yeah, this is that prior all-time high right there. We basically have a pretty solid, what we call a breakout, a retest, and resumption here. This is on the 8 hour. And on the 4 hour, you're going to see a similar, this would be like your entry maybe here. And then on the 12 hour even, which is my favorite. My favorite is to wait for the 12 hour. 12 hour before that to play out. Let's get rid of all these colors here. Does the 12 hour play out? Yeah, you'd be maybe waiting a little bit longer for this 12 hour to play out. Nonetheless, you have a valid breakout retest resumption. So if you're going to buy Bitcoin, at this point, the odds are, now it's not certainty, the probability is it's going up. It's going to make another impulse up. Of course, the possibility exists this is a false breakout and we lose this trend line. This would be your early canary in the coal mine if we lose this trend line. Right? If we lose this trend line, that's a canary in the coal mine, and then we might just be a false breakout and we're headed back down for a little bit. But the odds are that this breakout to the upside is it's going to be another impulse up to this, at least the 70s, if not to 100,000. So that's my opinion on it. A good way to play this, a really smart way to play this would be, if you're going to take this entry here, so say you take it on the 8 hour, roughly, or the 4, whatever level. It's an entry right now on a couple different levels, potentially. If you take this entry now, you can set your stop comfortably below. You see, you have this trend line here, and these two levels of support here. Is a lot of support. So getting us back below, say 57.4, if we get down to 57,000, the odds are we have broken this pattern and we're coming back down, at least to this bottom trend line here, or some other level like that. So you're wrong and you get out here. Most likely, what's going to happen though, besides having a stop loss, you can set a stop loss at 57,000. You might get a little preview of it before you hit your stop loss, where you come back into this and resume down, which would give you an even higher exit point that you could do manually. So if you set your stop loss at 57, something like that. This is how I do it, right? I set my stop loss really comfortably far down. That way I don't get wicked out, basically. And if I get wicked out, that means the price took it so far down, it's probably going to keep going down a little bit longer. But I also watch for, I get myself out manually. If we lose this trend line and I see us touch this and resume down, I get a resumption down, I will go ahead and at least shave or maybe even exit and wait to see what plays out after that, just to be safe. So those are a couple of ways you can play if you do buy now, watching this parabolic trend line and watching all this support. We've got a lot of support though. Bitcoin has a lot of support. When it broke that level, it maintained a couple of really important trend lines, and it's got fresh support from these levels that it fought with and broke. So a lot of support right now. It'd have to be quite the event to take it back down. All right, let's take a look at comments here. I hope that answered your question, and we'll look at alt cycle. Now that I've answered that, I've kind of teed up the alt cycle thing, talking about last cycle, what I was looking at before. Bitcoin liquid index, we are up. Wow, look at this. So let me take this off of auto and show y'all. So I just put it back on the top price that we touched. So roughly 62,000, almost 61,000, whatever it was. All right, we are 307 days into the halving. So what I've done here is I've marked from the open price. Actually, the other day I was get this right on that open price. There you go. Get a little better. Okay, this is the opening price of the halving, right? The halving event. This is basically the market open price on the day of the halving, May 11th, 2020. And then we go all the way and put this on log. A little bit easier to see. All right, we go over here, and I've marked at the very top and to the day that we're at. Maybe we'll go a day out to tomorrow because we're almost, this day just started actually, so we're good. Okay. Sorry about that. So we're 307 days in, and we're 600 and 24% up since the halving. That's a big, big, big mega run. All right, so that's the BLX chart. And we'll go look at that here. And this is what we're going to look at to try to figure out kind of where we're at with our alt season. I'm going to look at some comments, and then we'll start diving into alt season, where we're at. All right. I saw Seed ask about H-bar, but I'm going to back up before I answer your question on H-bar. So, Anthony, did that answer your question? I hope that gave you some. Again, don't go buy or sell because I think it's a good idea. Just do your own research. Wondering, okay, link planning. Hello, okay. Saeed asks, how high will H bar rise? All right. There is a lot of mixed information out there about H bar, and I've started to dig in. But I've just started. There's a lot. It's a very complex. It's a very complex system, far more complex than blockchains. I don't have H bar on my list, do I? Let's just look at USD chart. Binance, Bixtrex, okay, coin, Huobi. Let's just look at Binance, I guess. That'll work. All right. Oh yeah, I did a video on this. I took down the video that I did on this because I did an early video just kind of explaining just the very generally speaking how graph-based, graph-based decentralized ledgers work. Let's just remove all drawings here. And H-bar was obviously one of them. I was talking mostly about H-bar. IOTA and Nano are a couple of the others. Now, Nano is just a payment system, just so y'all know, and an H-bar has aspirations of being a full smart contract, blockchain equivalent, and with a graph. How high will it go? I don't know. If the market potential for H-bar is the same as Ethereum or Cardano or Polkadot, if they figure it out, right? If they actually get if they are the ones that crack the code and have the most stable and reliable and the first one to market smart contract graph-based blockchain, they could easily, because the technology is superior to blockchain, right? They could easily displace Ethereum, Cardano, and Polkadot. But the reality is they are really far out. So it's highly speculative, very highly speculative. I love the space. I love the names in the space. I was big into IOTA for a long time because of this. And then I was so enamored with it for so long. So I'm drawing a couple trend lines on H-bar to talk about this, of that whole space for so long. And then I started to realize a bunch of the issues with IOTA. And anytime I talk about it on any forum, or I haven't talked about it much on YouTube but when I was on the forums and stuff, I would just get flamed. Anytime I brought up any kind of concern, I would just get eviscerated by just a bunch of nasty comments asking how would I dare question the awesomeness of IOTA. And that bothers me. And the same thing happened as soon as I posted that video on these graphs, and I was just generally speaking trying to explain graphs, I got attacked. So the proponents of it are very staunch supporters of it, but they're almost too supportive of it that I kind of wonder if they don't realize that there are a lot of kinks to be worked out. So long way of saying, I would be careful. You see this uber parabolic trend line. The main thing I would say is if you're above that, stay in the trade. When you lose this uber parabolic trend line that I just drew in just now, that's your early indication that you're coming back down. And you're going to consolidate pretty heavily. H-bar is great, and if they crack the code, man, they could be huge. Look at where they're at on the market cap right now. But it's a graph base. It's so much more complex to build and maintain consensus. And so, how they talk about the way that they kind of market, the way they do is they call it gossip about gossip. So transactions between two parties is considered gossip. And then what they do is they share information about that gossip. So it's gossip about gossip, they say. So basically, it allows you to replay. You get enough information to kind of replay in the past, any individual node to replay the history of things based on the gossip you've received. but it's highly complicated how it actually works, and I've not really wrapped my head. I mean, I understand the directed acyclic graphs all day long. I get graph technology. I get IOTA. I get Nano. I get HBAR at the graph level. I get it. But how specifically HBAR, does their timestamping after the fact, and how the consensus is able to run and validate consensus, and then namely, the more important part of that is what potential threat vectors are there, right? Because of how they're doing this. So I'm just going to talk about this for just 2 seconds. So HBAR is a graph, right? So in your blockchains, you have a bunch of transactions in a block, a miner or a participating node. If it's proof of stake, it's a node that has, that was awarded the next block based on its staking participation. And if it's a proof of work network like Bitcoin or Ethereum today, it is whichever miner solves the mathematical problem first gets to mint the next block. But it's a series of transactions. This series of transactions is cryptographically signed. So there's basically a tree that's built of all the transactions. It's called a Merkle tree. And the root of that tree gets signed, and this gets cryptographically linked to the prior block, and then this gets cryptographically linked to the next block. So there's a link. That's why it's called a blockchain. So it's a block with a bunch of transactions. It's signed cryptographically, and it's linked to the next one, such that if I try to change a single transaction over here, if I try to say that somebody sent me funds that didn't, or whatever I try to change, I have to recompute do all the work all over again to find the mathematical problem for this block, because the data structure inside of it's changed, and I have to recompute everything. And then I have to, because it's signed to this one, I have to recompute the next one and then this one. So it's very, very difficult for me to go back more than a couple of blocks, because I have to have more than 51%. Now, if you have more than 51%, there's other things you can do with the current block and so forth and so forth. But I have to have way more than 51% of the network to be able to overtake and recomputate this chain and take over the longest chain. Okay, it's fairly simple. In a few seconds I could explain how that works. All right, and it's a fairly straightforward process to secure that. You can use Byzantine fault tolerance, which is basically, as long as the majority of people are well behaving, then everything works out. All right, then you have these graph-based ones. So HBAR, Nano, IOTA use. Fundamentally, they do it different ways. They do these graphs. And so each participant has its own record of transactions. So I've got A, B, C, and D participants. So when A starts out with, say, A receives some funds first, and these other guys don't have any. Then A sends some money to B, and then B sends some money to C, and then A sends some money out of this original that he received over to D, and then now C's got some funds and he pays B something. And then, these guys continue just all kinds of transactions for whatever reason they have to transact with each other, right? And this just continues on and on and on. And, you get the idea. So it's this lattice of transactions. And what's highly important in these graph-based technologies is that we keep a really good timestamp, so we know when this participant did this transaction, this participant, and we timestamp it on both sides. And you can rebuild this based on the information that you receive about when these nodes do inform the rest of the network that they've done these transactions. A third-party node who's just monitoring the network and just looking at transactions, he can go, once he receives all this information, and rebuild this and figure out who So if A started with 10 of something, and then he sent every one of these as 1, right? So he sent 1 to B, and then B sent 1 to C, so C ends up with 1 here, and then he sends it over here. He can rebuild and figure out that ultimately, I believe, it looks like B has 1. It looks like C has 2. It looks like D has 0, right, or whatever. Oh, well, you get the idea. Maybe he ended up with 7. I don't know. I have to figure out all that out. But you get the idea. So he can rebuild, but how you go about validating all of this, all these nodes that are participating with each other. And so some of them don't require that you inform the entire network right away, right? It depends. It's just the network will find out eventually after the fact. So these transactions are already done, and the network finds out about after the fact. And there's some mechanism to go and to form consensus about a bunch of things that were gossiped about. The nature of securing these transactions and forming consensus around these transactions is far more complex than a blockchain, and each of them do this differently. You know, they have I think Hedera's is something about a highway consensus protocol. I forget the name of it, but I'm not prepared to talk about that tonight. But you get the idea. Bringing that up, I'm getting off track about talking about what I wanted to talk about, which is our alt season cycle. Bringing all that up, they're far more complex, so just know that. That's all I'm trying to get at. They're far more complex. I'm researching them the best I can. I think Hedera looks good because they have a lot of big supporters, but it's not without, there's a lot of FUD around them, and every time anybody talks negative about them, the community attacks them. Just absolutely. Oh, I just got this. I just now realized, guys, I was on a log chart. That's not good. Still, okay, there's your parabolic trend line. You've got even more parabolic. Let's go to the 4 hour here. Yeah, so there's your kind of parabolic trend line if I zoom out. Above that, there's a fresh entry on each bar. But anyway, just be cautious with these. They have humongous upside. Hedera is number, 31 on the coin market cap. See where his market cap actually is. I mean, ultimately, if they figure everything out, their market cap's like, potential's like $1 quadrillion or something insane. Right, beyond anything we could ever fathom. This is my point of saying a quadrillion. I don't know if a quadrillion makes any sense at all, but they're at a $3 billion. They could easily make it to 300 billion. Yes, if they actually get it all figured out and they become the dominant player in that space. All right, let's talk about. All right, yeah, earlier episode. So Gabe says earlier episode you're talking about Altcoin March, April. Bitcoin has a huge correction. 75K correspond with the alt run. They'll probably all dump with it. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about where we're at with alt season real fast, and then I'll get back to some more questions. So I spent way too long on Hedera, but I think it's worth pointing out. I'm going to redo my video once I've done some more research. You know, I came across some more FUD after I did that video, after I was just doing a deep dive on the project. And I need to cut through that FUD and figure out if it's real, if it's fake, and then get my thoughts on it all. You're getting even more parabolic over here. So anyway, just keep drawing this. The more parabolic it gets, the more just keep drawing those trend lines, and when they start to break down, you'll know. All right, alt season. Let's focus on alt season for a bit. Back on my BLX chart, flip to log. Okay, so what I want to go back to here. All right, we are 624%, 307 days. Okay. 624, 307, 624, 307, 624, 307. All right. Is this last cycle? No, this is the cycle before last. Let's draw a fresh box. Where are those at? All right, so if we start at the opening of the halving here, all right, so I'm going to do the same thing. So 624%. And 307 days in. So I'm going to draw a shaded area that represents our current cycle. I'm putting it on top of the last cycle. There's other people who have prettier charts for this, but you get the idea. So let's try to dial that in here real fast. Opening cost, looks like the opening price that halving was right around there, okay? All right. So this cycle, why is my thing being stupid? There we go. This cycle we're a lot higher earlier, especially back here when we were pretty much. But you see that we've made more gains. So at last cycle, you see all the way over here, close to the end of the cycle, we have made as much percentage gain. So we're definitely ahead of last cycle. What I was worried about was, did we come into 624%? Oh, close enough. It's close enough for government work. All right. Yeah. So again, I was worried about this event. So let's see what happens. You see this prolonged event, right? So basically, from here through here, we're flat. This is a log chart. Yeah. So it looks different on a log chart. When you take it off a log chart, you'll see it a little bit better. What I'm talking about. So let's take it off a log chart for now. Let's focus on this level right here. So from this peak right here all the way through. Yeah, it was August before we took it out. And then Price came back almost to it on a sell-off way over in September. So look at this. From that little peak right there, if we do it right here, it's probably a little bit better. In June, that was May, June. We touched that again all the way over here in September. So June, July, August, September, right? So that's basically 4 months. At that moment in time, we were sideways for 4 months, and then it took back off, right? Obviously, a lot different situation being above it than below it, but you get the idea. And then if you go all the way back here, we got really close to it. It's almost 5 months. So this whole area is coming up. This is probably, we're gonna probably have, this is what I call the summer doldrums. We're probably gonna have something that looks about like this. Not, it absolutely doesn't have to be the same. This is what I was worried about. Now let's throw throw ETH USD on top of this. I'm gonna make ETH USD purple because it's kind of Ethereum's color, closest I can get to Ethereum's, theme color. All right. So what did ETH do? That's our best gauge of, let's go to percentage, of what we might see in this cycle. All right. So what I talked about early on was the rotation phase, which is what we kind of had. It was very different this time than last time, though. Things were very different. So you see here, last cycle, Bitcoin broke this purple line. I think is the prior all-time high. Bitcoin broke the prior all-time high, and when it did that, Ethereum popped big, right? So this created some sort of some FOMO, and I forget exactly. I mean, I was aware of this. I don't remember it honestly. I just remember looking. I probably sold my Ethereum like right here, right? I think I had sold my Ethereum like right here, or down here even. And so I was just kind of on the sidelines watching this. I probably FOMO'd back in over here somewhere too. I don't remember those days very well, but so that made this huge run. And so we kind of had something like that this last cycle. You can see it on, let's just go to our current cycle. I'll show you roughly what happened, right? All right, here we are, current cycle. Now they've been tracking a lot closer. Look at this. Look how much closer they've been tracking. But something similar did happen, and I was talking about that rotation, and we did have that rotation phase. If you line it up like this, you'll see that basically, right, so Bitcoin was going down here, and Ethereum was going up. Much slower, a little bit different, but we did have, this was the rotation right here. So from January through February was the main part of the rotation, and then it kind of continued on through here. And then since then, Ethereum has very closely tracked Bitcoin. Wow, I did not realize it was that close, honestly, until I'm just seeing this just now myself. Now let's add on here, this is the USD chart, so they're really tracking. Let's add another altcoin that's a pretty good proxy for altcoins. Let's go to DOT. I just want to see this now. I'm honestly just curious at this point. Yeah, okay, DOT's going to be a little bit better. Yeah, there you go. So DOT is kind of this cycle's Ethereum, right? Or a Cardano too. But DOT made a bigger move earlier, so I'm picking it over. Cardano made a much more sudden move, and DOT has been a more consistent ramp. All right, so you look at Polkadot though, you can see this what happened here, right? So Bitcoin, so funds were rotated out of after we took out the all-time high. I think money left Bitcoin and went into altcoins. You see this, sell-off in Bitcoin, and then a huge spike in DOT, and then DOT continues to outrun it a little bit. And then, so that's a good proxy for this. DOT's more like what Ethereum was last cycle. Ethereum this cycle is much larger and it's much more tied to Bitcoin. But these other upstarts, DOT, Cardano, and many others, are a good proxy for what Ethereum was last cycle. That's a good way to look at it, I think. But let's go to our ETH BTC ratio. Throw this on here real fast and see what we can kind of glean from that. I mean, it's been flat. Look how tightly, because it's flat, that means that it just basically means that Bitcoin and Ethereum, for all intents and purposes, are tracking each other extremely closely this cycle, okay? So there's not a lot. So maybe we can look at the DOT to Bitcoin ratio as our proxy. And I need to switch. This can't be Binance. This has to be Coinbase. So let's throw the Coinbase ETH BTC on here. And you'll see the same artifacts of what I'm talking about. So there's that rotation phase, a big pop, and this is the Ethereum to Bitcoin ratio. So as Bitcoin was selling off, Ethereum popped. So What the question is do we have ahead of us this big monster spike? And I think we do, based on what I'm seeing. This is still ahead of us, not behind us, for a couple of reasons. But that was the ETH BTC ratio last time. And if I get rid of ETH BTC, let's throw on ETH USD. Yeah, so this illustrates it a little bit better, honestly. So if you see the price of Bitcoin, right, and then Ethereum just blew out what Bitcoin was doing at this phase, and then they like evened out over here, right? Bitcoin actually overtook Ethereum for the bull market until Ethereum did its final run. All right, let's go back. So I want to really dial in now on this part right here, this big up part. So I would say, if you look at literally how this lines up, right, the timing of it kind of lines up. So we peaked out pretty much Ethereum a little bit back here, and they've been consolidating here for a bit. So what could be ahead of us is a monster run. But it might be in like Polkadot and Cardano and those names, and maybe not so much Ethereum. It looks like Ethereum's tracking Bitcoin very closely. But maybe it does. Maybe it does firm up versus Bitcoin. But you see this big run. The question is this run ahead of us? And notice when that run peaks out. Remember that line I drew earlier where we were flat for several months? The other thing we want to focus and just really focus in on. So the question I have is this ahead of us? That's the first question. Question number one, is this ahead of us? I think so, but let's dive into that. Let's dial in and figure out if we all agree that this is ahead of us. Because if it is, we definitely want to be trading. At least the main guys for me, it'll be Polkadot, Cardano, and maybe Ethereum to some degree. But over here, this whole this is that bear market shakeout phase where it's literally basically sideways and down for months. I think this is coming. This is probably, I would say a rejection off of 100K would make all the sense in the world, and maybe a second rejection of it there, then breakthrough way over here. That makes a lot of sense to me. That we take months to get through that psychological level of 100,000. All right, but notice again, to answer your question, if we make this next leg up, we should have, in theory, if we're tracking roughly what we did last time, we made that big move. This is a pretty big move. It looks small in this chart because of how it's lining up. That was a pretty big move in Bitcoin. We made a bigger move on altcoins. But when Bitcoin peaked out right here and then went sideways for several months, look at what happened to Ethereum, right? And this is why I say we want to be out of altcoins as close to this event, this top, and whatever it is. I was worried the other day it was 60,000, 50,000, 60,000 might have been this based on, that could have been the level that we stopped at. I'll throw some different music here. Music stopped on me. All right, so y'all get the idea though, right? So the music's gonna stop playing right here, most likely. The music's gonna stop, and we're gonna have this summer, like doldrums, bear market, shakeout phase, and it's gonna be a couple months, and then we'll resume up. And then at the end here, I want you to notice something else. All right, the third thing to observe is, okay, if this is ahead of us, we want to be trading it. I think it is. There's our phase now. Our next phase that we have in front of us. This was kind of phase. We had the rotation phase over here. This is the FOMO phase. This is the bear market phase, and kind of the shakeout phase, right? All through here where Ethereum is lagged big time last time. So hold on. This is what's ahead of us, hopefully, in phase 2. And for Bitcoin and the alts. And hopefully this is from 60,000, where we're at right now, to 100,000. Hopefully that's what we have ahead of us. I think it probably is based on what I'm seeing. And then we'll be flat. We want to be rotated into Bitcoin and out of altcoins heavily. I would still have my hodl bags. I'll just deal with this. But I will rotate some. If we have this insane move in altcoins, I will rotate a percentage of them back into Bitcoin, because I don't want to be out of the trade just in case this doesn't play out like I think, right? Just because it may not play out like it did last cycle. But if it does, I would rather be in Bitcoin and have a smaller sell-off than these altcoins mega sell-off. And then also because of that, what's ahead of us, 3 is this bear market phase, and then 4 is Bitcoin's blow off top, where he just sucks the life out of everything. So look at this. So for this phase, you don't want to be in altcoins either, because they vastly underperform Bitcoin. So here's Bitcoin's move, 400, 500% move, and Ethereum made 166% move. So basically the music's going to stop playing right here, and it's coming up in the next month or two. The music's going to stop for altcoins. And we just basically, you're going to want to be the heck out of altcoins and just ride Bitcoin the rest of the way until it's time to exit Bitcoin. And then this is the big blow off top. I call it, this is number 4 on my chart here, or 4 of my phases. I'll put it further out over here. Number 4 is Bitcoin's blow off top, where he sucks the life, it's like a vacuum, sucks the life out of everything. This time, because it's such a big market cap, I bet it sucks the life out of even equities and gold. I appreciate that, Craig, to smash the like button. So, but then the music's going to stop playing on Bitcoin at some point. Now I'm going to show you something. It's pretty simple. I was talking about this earlier on those parabolic trend lines. You just go find you a parabolic trend line. And when you break it, you're coming back down. It's pretty simple. Right? It's really not that complicated. So when we came down here, retested, resumed down, this is your time to get out. And you're out pretty close to the top. You're not at the very top, you know. You're a little bit off, but you could have waited for this bounce back all the way to here, but that would have been really nerve-wracking watching it go all the way down to here. But that's what I'll be doing. Basically, I'll be following Jordan at Conquer Trading for sure, and I'll be doing my own analysis just to make sure that I'm doing the work myself too. I'm going to be watching my trend lines, and when I see that blow off top, that parabolic trend line break, I'm out. Right? Or at least I'll start to position out. I mean, I might not go all. You get the idea. But then after this phase, right, so we take from that top, look what happens to Ethereum, right? We have a window. It's not huge because Bitcoin is going to drag everything back down with it. Bitcoin's going down. Ethereum makes a pop and then comes down. I think there will be a post-hype, people are going to, instead of selling their Bitcoin for fiat right away, they're going to be like, all right, Bitcoin's up at, I don't know, 300,000 or whatever it's going to be. Instead of selling Bitcoin, I'm going to rotate into some of these lagging alts, because the alts will be lagging because Bitcoin will have sucked the life out of them. So people are initially going to rotate from Bitcoin into lagging alts or perceived lagging alts and cause this little spike. But we have a small window. We can't be too greedy with that, right? So I'm going to move a percentage, maybe 10 to 20% of my Bitcoin at the top here and rotate them into my favorite alts. The ones I talk about all the time, most likely, maybe some others we've done research on by then, and try to ride this little peak here for a little bit extra juice, and then we're out, and then we're back to shorting the market. So the question, I'm gonna look at comments now. I think I've laid that out pretty well. I hope you guys get what I'm getting at here. This is what I see. This is what I see, and I hope this is in front of us. Let's go look at comments. So yeah, Gabe, I hope if Bitcoin has a huge correction around 75K, could it correspond with the alts run, or would that probably dump with it? So Gabe, I hope they answered that question. The first time we consolidated here right around the prior all-time high is when the rotation happened. It's exactly what happened this cycle. Something very similar happened. But after it made a big run and the alts make an even bigger run, this is that FOMO phase. After this, the music stops and the altcoins die, right? Or die worse than Bitcoin. They just, it's not that they die. I mean, you can still hold them. You're still up. If you bought them back here, you're still up huge. But it's going to be painful, and it's going to be more profitable to move to Bitcoin because it's going to sell off less. But yeah, I think this when Bitcoin does sell off after this next impulse up, this is going to be the last one. And we might get, it might be a two-phase impulse up. I think it probably will be, actually. I think you're going to have an impulse to like 70s consolidation, and we'll be watching like hawks to see if it then goes from the 70s, consolidates, and then breaks out to the upside. You stay in, keep playing everything, music's still going. But if it breaks to the downside in the 70s, the music might end in the 70s. I think it's probably going to be closer to 100,000 when the music ends. And it's just a matter of watching and just being vigilant with these charts. And I'm sorry I scared a bunch of people the other day, but that was me being hyper vigilant with, if it breaks here and we lose these parabolic trend lines, we are coming down hard. And I think at the time I was watching like this trend line right here is what I was watching. That's what it was. But it recovered, right? And okay, all right, we recovered. We saw a resumption. We're clearly into resumption now. So I think we're good now. But without seeing the price action play out, you're not certain. But I hope that answered your question. So yeah, I think after this next couple of impulses, the music's going to end for a little bit until the after Bitcoin blows off last time. All right, questions, comments. Why wouldn't you pick the middle of the trend line in that FUD scenario around 53.2? This one right here. Why wouldn't I pick it? You could stop there. So I'm not going to pick. I'm really not. I'm not in the business of trying to pick anything. Actually, honestly, yeah, you could stop. You could definitely get support here. And if you got support there, saw some consolidation or a rebound, and saw some confirmation off of that, okay. This is the most likely, just because of odds of this is where the bottom of that sell-off is, and this is your last. This is also your bottom, right? So if you get below this and resume down, something's wrong. Something's going on, and we're just entering some sort of mini bear phase early. But yeah, this is the line. Basically, another way of saying it, this is the line in the sand. This is the last line of defense before you enter. You are no longer in this same bullish uptrend. It's basically. All right. Thank you, Chody. My Telegram link isn't working? Huh. Let me click on it. I clicked on the Telegram link, and oh, you mean in my video description? I will double check that. I think I did notice it today. I'm very sorry about that. I will go fix that. I'll try to remember that right after the stream's over. Sorry about that. And I assume you mean the Telegram link to get the alerts when we'll post videos or go live. EOS, man, thanks. Yeah, sure. Let's look at EOS. Where is it on my chart? Oh, I took it off my chart. I took it off my chart because the founder left. And when the founder left, I just didn't have any interest in it. All right, EOS USD, not looking good. Compared to everything else in crypto, I bet if I flip to the BTC chart, yeah, when the founder announced that he was leaving, I have zero interest in it. I took it off my chart. Yeah, it's looking horrible. It's breaking down bad. If it was me, I'd have been out. I did have EOS. I got out. Like literally the day I saw the founder was leaving, I just sold. I didn't look at the charts. It didn't matter to me because I knew it was just going to keep going down. Now, it might get drug up by Bitcoin, but it's going to underperform. There's a million other projects to go invest in. Picking a project that its founder left is not a winning strategy, I don't think. All right. Where do you think Bitcoin will top before having a major pullback? I think I just answered that. I hope I answered that for you. I think probably close to 100,000. I'm going to be cautious, too. When we hit 90,000, I'll probably start to be real cagey. Just because the pullback might happen early, might be well before 100,000, but it could spike up. More likely than it pulling back at 90,000 and having a big sell-off and being done. More likely it's going to have a pullback in the 90s, consolidate in the 80s or something, and then make another run at it, break through, and trap a bunch of longs or trying to go leverage above 100,000 and hit something like 106, 108,000 and then sell off hard. That's more likely. That's the most likely scenario. You deserve 1,000x more subs. Oh, thanks, Big Boozer. We'll get there. I mean, this is I'm here to share, and I think people will start to figure out that Jordan knows his stuff. The guy that we're all working with and conquering the markets. And I'm basically taking, everything Jordan teaches us, and I'm just doing a little bit extra research on alt projects and bringing that to you. I mean, you guys are I'm going to share this with you too. Don't consider me some type of uber expert, right? I am learning as I go, and I'm sharing with you. I'm learning from Jordan and from Heath and from Greg and from Alan and from Gus and from all the guys and Craig and everybody, right? I'm learning from the community. And especially TA, I wasn't the strongest at TA coming into all this, right? But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to take that I'm learning from the rest of the community and I'm trying to do my own research on the technology because that's my background. I'm an infrastructure technology specialist, right? So I understand infrastructure specifically, but I understand technology pretty well. So I'm trying to research all these projects and then give you my thoughts on the viability of it. And also, I've done a lot of work. I've been an investor for 8-10 years, where I started as a fundamentals value investor, right? So I know really well how to read an annual report and how to read a balance sheet and how to do my own intrinsic value calculation. I know how to look at cash flow, return on invested capital, return on equity, all the metrics, right? Book value, and growth, and all the different metrics and the different individual metrics of a lot of the different industries I deep dove into. I know how to value things based on like the market value, and then that's how I used to when I started. I lost a lot of money doing it. I started out by doing a ton of Buffett-style research on equities, figuring out what I thought the intrinsic value of the company was based on a gajillion metrics, and then I would buy things that I thought the value was underappreciating, and just wait, sit around forever and wait for the market to realize I was wrong and I was right and the market was wrong. What I learned about that is the market just flat didn't care. Like, if the market didn't like something, the market didn't like something. It didn't matter if I liked it, and I did all the number crunching and it was great. And more often than not, also, when I did all the number crunching and I thought an equity was just fantastic, and it really, and all the numbers lined up, there was something I didn't know, like horrible management or mercenary management or something, and then issues started to come out later, and then I understood why the market didn't like it, but I didn't have that insight to a lot of that, right? There was no way. Like, it wasn't public knowledge in the market, but somehow somebody knew that's why it was down. So that's when I became like, all right, I've got to find a better way. I started getting a technical analysis, and then a couple of years later, I finally found Conquering the Markets and the community we have now. So now, I put it like, so I'm trying to take all that background, my background in technology, and my ability to understand cryptocurrencies and how they fundamentally work, and then my ability to understand valuations in the market and how to value market potential of things. And then on top of it, the technical analysis we're learning with Conquering the Markets, and put all that together and kind of blended, give you guys my feedback on cryptocurrencies, price analysis, and market potential, all in kind of one bundled, So I talk a lot about, you'll hear me answer questions with, well, what is the market potential for this? Like, if this becomes the leader in, somebody asked about like a key management system. All right, the KMS is a viable product, and there are, companies that probably value at a couple $100 million that do key management systems. But that's about all they are. They're not going to be a $100 billion company doing a key management system. So if your cryptocurrency is built around something like key management system, well, you have a market potential of maybe $1 billion. But, unless you branch out, unless you have plans to branch out and get outside of that space, you're not ever going to be much more than $1 billion coin. So if your market cap's already 500 million, how far is it going to go? Hype can take you a little bit, but realistically, it's not going to be sustainable beyond that. So that's how I answer questions a lot too, blend all that together. Anyway, so I wanted to share that as a part of that answer or that comment. That's what I'm trying to do here, and I hope it's valuable. And I think over time, people will see that that's what I'm trying to do, is just share and help people. And the other big part of it is cryptocurrency is full of enough scams. There's more than enough scams out there. Enough people lose enough money all the time in cryptocurrency, and I just hate to see that happen. So that's the other part I talk about these technologies so much is, look, some are viable, some aren't. I want people to be investing in viable technologies that have solid fundamentals and that have, the charts are lining up, because that's how we keep everybody on the right side of the market. All right. Brandon would like, okay, where's the super chat button? I turned off all of the, Chris, I'll look at mana for you. I'm small enough right now. I just turned off all the monetization stuff, because my purpose in this, especially early stage, is just to share and to give back to the community. When I feel like I've kind of mastered this and I get a lot of kinks worked out and I have, some more subs, I might turn back on monetization. But for now, I don't feel like, I'm still working out some kinks and I'm still working out some things, and I don't want to monetize the channel until I feel like I'm giving a really good product. So it's off for now, but I'll answer your question on mana. Let's take a look at mana. Oh boy, man, did that pop. Is that an artifact, or does that really happen? It looks like let me just look at another It's Kraken. Kraken's usually pretty unreliable. Let's look at Binance. Hey, Decentraland. Let's look at Gemini. Yeah, okay, it never do that. Yeah, so Decentraland, I read up on it earlier. I saw it pumping. I have some thoughts you're not going to like about it. It's good. It's not a bad project. I don't know. If I recall, there was something about it though. Oh no, it's that game. Yeah, no, this is awesome. Super awesome. My thought on it was it's a $1.7 billion market cap, and what I didn't get, I'm missing something because I don't see the market potential of this per se. But as long as it's a platform, I think what I'm missing is that the current game they have, it's a platform that you can build other games with. Or I mean, not other games, but virtual reality platform. Yeah, what I didn't understand was, is it just fun, or are they serious about like military, industrial, whatever else, right? If they get on the military side, I think that's what I was kind of researching. Like I was trying to figure out, and there's a couple other projects that are like this. Man is the big one, but Decentraland, is this more gaming, fun centric, or is this like serious industry? If it's serious industry, military, automation, yeah, well then it has huge potential. But I didn't get a good sense of that yet. I haven't done enough research, and I don't buy things just because they're pumping. I flat don't care. I got enough really good really good cryptos that pump really great without me having to go search for. But I'll do some more reading on this because I was trying to understand the. If anybody can enlighten us in the chat, that'd be great. Understand the focus of it. Unlike virtual, so is it social network centric? What is it? And if it's fun and gaming, okay, that's it's still cool. I like it. I think it's cool. If it's social networks, that's a lot bigger than gaming, which is pretty cool. But if it's industry, automation, control systems, and government, military, that's way bigger. So that's what I want to understand about it, is what markets are they kind of going after. I haven't got to that point yet. So technology wise, it's great. I think I read through the white papers and I went, oh yeah, this seems legit. It is built on Ethereum, so it's pretty simple. It's just a matter of how good is their software. That's really what it boiled down to. I'm like, well, I don't know that much about virtual reality software, so I have no idea how actually quality the software is. That's kind of the other piece. Like, I don't know enough about this to speak to that intelligently either. But I will go look into it. I see it's pumping here, so I'll let it cool off. I'll let it consolidate. I'll do my research. This is what I do when these things pump. While they're consolidating after the pump's over, I'll go do a bunch of research on them at that point. And if I like it, I'll watch and wait for the next level, the next leg up, and I'll get in. And if I don't like it, I just ignore it. Ever happened, right? Yeah, EOS should not be a thing. Smash the like button, C-Team community. Thanks, guys. What wallet do you keep HBA in? Hedera in? HBA? What's HBA? Oh, HBAR. Their native wallet, whatever it is. This one. I just downloaded it. Now, I don't have very much HBAR at all. I've downloaded their native wallet, and I just have it to fiddle with it. I have a friend. He was just actually over the other night. We had some friends over. They got their vaccines. Yay, good for them. So we can hang out with people again. So we had some friends over that got their vaccines, and he's a pretty well-educated person. So he pays his kids their chores in Nano. It's kind of cool. It's basically free. So they all have their little Nano apps. So after he told me about it, I went and downloaded, I guess it's this Atomic wallet, the software wallet, the mobile wallet, basically. This right here, the BRD, Bird, whatever this is. I don't know. Yeah, so I downloaded the mobile wallet, BRD, there it is. And I was just messing with it there. But I'm just messing with it to play with it. I don't have a lot of it, so I just have it on a mobile hot wallet, and I don't really care. All right, Wax. I can't just give you the chart. It's not my, I just can't do that. I have to look and see. Purpose of blockchain for e-commerce, wax, depause. This needs to die, guys. We need to get to a fully delegated part. This is a form of centralization. I don't like it. Now, again, I've said this a million times. It's fully compatible with EOS. Yeah, EOS did depause. They kind of started the depause thing. So it's a fork of EOS basically, or clone of it or something. I don't know anything about it technically. It looks like it's a clone of EOS. Not my favorite thing. Depause needs to die. This needs to go away. This is a form of centralization. I don't care. People argue with me. I'll get haters flaming me all day long for this. I don't really care if you don't agree with me or not. It's my ardent opinion on it. All right. It's very up and away. Let's see here. Sorry, I'm taking a moment to take in the chart here. I mean, the good thing is you obviously have to stay above this. You could probably draw this trend line a little bit tighter with some better touches through here. I like this a lot better actually now looking at this. Yeah, there you go. I like this. All right. So stay above that trend line. Beautiful consolidation. I like what you got going on here. You got to get back above that point. But let's go to the daily. Let's look at the daily. Ah, beautiful. This is beautiful. Yeah. So you took out this level here. You got to stay above this level. Let's see if we can find some way so this right here. This is really actually the more important level where the market caught it. If you ever come back below that. But you got back above those levels. Yeah, I mean, you're resuming now. Let's look at the 4 hour. There you go. It looks good. I mean, it looks good. A breakout, retest, resumption of this daily, the bottom. This is the first bearish candle. So big up. So this is the end of the impulse, right? This is an impulse. The first bearish candle, the bottom of it, that's where the market, picked up. The first bearish candle is a really good level to watch. I learned this from Heath. And Heath, if you're on or if you watch this later and you want to correct me, I'm going to have Heath on this week. My scheduled one. I'm planning to have Heath on, and I'm gonna have Heath literally coach me on some of this. Like, okay, Heath, why would I pick this, this level over this level, and what is your thinking? And I think if you guys see Heath coaching me through like helping my technical analysis, I'll be able to ask a lot of the dumb questions I'm sure a lot of you guys are thinking. And I will not be shy about asking stupid questions. So I'll ask Heath lots of stupid questions that I'm sure other people are wondering, and hopefully we can all learn together. But this is what I see, right? I see this, it's consolidating right here, strong uptrend. You've had a bit of a breakout retest. This is like your retest candle. The problem is you've got this trend line right here. The way I do crypto, I would take a small trade on this resumption here. And I would take another piece breaking this, and then another piece break retest resumption. I'd place all of my stop losses. So I look for 2 levels of support. So that's one support. The next level of support is down here. So I don't think of anything else. This is probably all-time high for this, whatever this is. Yeah. Well, no, there's stuff to work with back here. Hold on. That changes everything. We're not in price discovery. All right, perfect. So let's look over here, see what levels we got. This is the daily. I'm gonna draw in some more, just what I see clearly. All right, now I'm just leaving these all white lines. These would be, because we have historical, I normally would make these blue, or no, I'm just gonna redo it just to show you guys my thought process. So when I draw on white lines like this, it is local levels that are based on, the most recent daily 8-hour, 12-hour, candles and the bodies of them. This, because we have historical price levels, I'm picking out like long-term historical levels now. So I'm just gonna throw my levels on here. Are we above or below that? It's a resistance right now. Okay. And then another level. That's resistance, and I mean, you have some light resistance here. I don't think it's going to matter. We're too far away from that to even bother. That, obviously. And then your support, pretty clearly right there. Call it right. I'm going to call it right there. Yep, okay. All right, good enough. Good enough for government work. All right, that gives us our historicals. Great, we got something to work on. You're not in price discovery, so it's both good and bad. It's great because you've been in these price levels before, and so this is not too new. Yeah. So yeah, you gotta. This is a potential. I'm not a financial advisor. It's not financial advice. Do not take this entry because I think it's good. Do your own research. All right, but there's all your entries. I would stagger them. What's beautiful about this is this level we have down here comes really close. This white line I have here, which is the daily level right there. I think that was the daily. Yeah, that was the daily break right there. So the daily kind of played right around that historical level. Okay, beautiful. And I'm on the 4-hour because this is a very trending asset. So in consolidation, I use a 12-hour. But on trending, like in crypto, when we're in expansion, I use the 4-hour. All right. So you've got two levels of support. This right here and this kind of trend line. I don't count trend lines, but I'm counting my stop loss supports, right? So I've got two levels of support. I've got 0.285. So 0.285 is my first level support, and 0.25 is my next level support, the historic long-term one, right? So I place my stop loss below both of those because in a after-hours liquidity purge, I want the market to be able to catch the big wick down on two levels. So I enter my first position, and I'll give it some space too. So I would have, personally, I'd have a stop loss of like 23.5 myself. And I would enter right here, 23.5. I would enter on the breakout of this, same stop loss. I'd take my second piece here, and I'd split it up on a third, or probably something along those lines. And then I would wait to see if we get a breakout, retest, resumption. And then my last third, I actually would probably do a quarter entry myself. I'd take 25% here. Then I would take 25% on the breakout. And then a breakout, retest, resumption, I'd take 50%. But what I would do is because I had a breakout, retest, resumption, I now have more support to work with. This is now support. And so is, you know, this level right somewhere in here is probably another support. So then I move the prior two entries, stop losses up to like this level. So I move these up. So now, or to break even. Actually, I probably would move them up to break even or close to, right? I keep inching all these stop losses up. So, but now that I have more support, I move these stop losses. So all three of them now have this stop loss, right? And then as I resume up, I'll continue to manage my stop losses from there. That's how I would play that. So these two 25%ers I put on initially, I would first move their stop loss up as this is forming over here, this breakout, retest, resumption. When I start to see the resumption start to form, I move my stop loss up, and then I place that order to get in that trade. And his stop loss is the same level. So I've got a full-size position at that point with entries here, here, and here. That's how I play, strong trending markets. That way I'm involved. If it just takes off and you just breaks out, I'm involved in the trade. But I maintain really good discipline around position sizing, and I scale into my positions. That's how I would handle wax right now. Me, I'm not gonna try. I don't have the time for it now. But all right, I'm in BNB at a loss right now. Any hope in sight? Ah, man, I'm the BNB bearer of bad news. I'm sorry, bro. Yeah, the good news is, you see this trend line right here? You cannot lose this trend line. You see you broke it? I mean, you can be nice to yourself and draw this down a little bit. This is not good. This is not good. What I see, I'd be getting the heck out of Dodge myself. All right, the reason I say that, not yet, not just yet, but I would be looking real close. So you broke down this trend line. You're coming back into it. You tested it as resistance. You break down here and you lose. I'm going to just draw a line out here for you. Lose 263.40. Just call it 263 even. You lose that level. You drop back below that. You need to get out. Get the heck out of Dodge. Because it is broken down on this trend line. And this doesn't mean it's going to like just tank and go to, $50 or something crazy. It could just simply consolidate. But at that point, if you're in a trade, especially if you're in a leveraged trade and you're burning margin, you don't want to be trading things that are just floating sideways and consolidating under resistance. you want to wait until you have a sign that you're going to break out and be moving again, because you're just burning up, interest at that point. But yeah, this is what I see. The other thing but I think you have the silver lining of it, of course, is you have a good formation to work with here on BNB. So get back above all that, and then your key, like, I bet if you do a daily, there's going to be some super obvious level. Yeah, there it is. Boom. It's obvious as all get out. 2 levels that are super obvious, and I bet you the bottom of this is really close. Yep, it's 263 exactly. That's how perfect that lines up. I just gave you, I gave you 263.38, and literally the bottom of all these daily candles is 263.38. Hilarious. All right. Anyway, these are the levels. You cannot lose this. You cannot lose this, or you need to get out of your trade. Now, if you're holding it long term, and don't misconstrue this. If you just love BNB and you want to hold it to the end of the cycle, you're fine. Don't freak out. If you lose this, it's probably just a matter of you're just going to kind of flitter around down here for a little bit. You're not going to probably tank unless something really bad happens with Binance, and I don't see that happening. But it's not a trade. You need to get out of trades, especially margin leverage trades. You need to get the heck out, because you could tank. Most likely, you're just going to kind of just go sideways and be wasting capital. But if you get back above this, the other level is 278.61. Get back above this and resume up out of there. You've broken this down, a little bit of a wedge, this little bit of consolidation you have, and you're back up, and you've probably retaken that trend line by now, and you're good. You're back in the business. Okay, that's how I'd play this right now. Now, again, the other silver lining is Bitcoin likely is going to make a run all the way up to at least 70, if not 100,000, and we're going to have the big FOMO phase. So most likely, BNB, the odds are this is not going to break down in any significant way. It's just going to kind of flitter around and go sideways and then break up huge when the FOMO phase really kicks in. But it can underperform still. I mean, even though it'll probably break up from here because Bitcoin's going to drag it up, it's going to lift, the rising tide's going to lift all boats. The other thing to consider is, do you want to be in this name because it's probably going to go up, or do you want to be in other names that are going to go up more, they're going to outperform, that have better charts? The chart looks okay. Honestly, now that I look at it a little closer, it looks okay because you're holding 263. Just hold 263 and you're all right. But again, if you stay below this trend line, the odds are you're going to just bounce between that and 263 and be wasting your capital. Anyway, that's my thoughts on that. Okay, Chris, I'm glad you found the Telegram link. I could probably fix it. Does somebody have it? We can post it in here. The proper Telegram link for the CTM alert channel. Yeah, okay. Sushi, please. Yeah. I'm going to have to make these next couple questions a little bit faster. I love Sushi. It's my preferred DEX outside of Loopring, which has been not doing well. But I love Sushi. Sushi's great. I also love Sushi, the food. That doesn't hurt. But I love the project. I think it's fine. I think it's good. One of the DEXs I like better. I mean, it's just basically it's a clone of Uniswap, but it's open source more or less. Yeah, it looks good. It's on the daily. 4 hour. You're trending. You're up. Right here is the key level. You came back to it. I mean, this is all fine. It's all fine and dandy. I'm just gonna draw a standard horizontal. You see this level right here? It's kind of clear as day. Was resistance. You broke it. Came back to test it. You're zooming off of it. You probably got potential entries on all kinds of time frames. Yeah, you had a 12. That's my favorite. Breakout, retest, resumption, a nice tight candle on a 12 hour. That was the perfect entry there. You're probably not too late, but it was a solid entry right there. And you look at where you're at now, the next level, you see this little, hold on. Yeah, no, 12. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, this level right here. This gives you something else to work with for your next entry. Breakout, retest, resumption on that level right there. That would work too for me. I would take it. If I missed the other one, I'd wait for this to play out. And it's playing out right now. Breakout on a 4 hour. I just wait for the 4 hour to kind of play out. make sure that I'm with momentum, I'm with the market, and take your entry. But it hasn't finished printing yet, right? So you barely peaked it. You need this candle to kind of finish printing, and the next one to take off to get a good solid signal on that. All right, hello sushi. As far as technology goes, as far as the price, it's a good name to be in. Big Boozer, strat for somebody with no skin in the game, FOMO as soon as possible, wait for the music to stop. Well, because of the formation we see right here, and because this is a very strong, we broke out, we consolidated, and it looks like we're breaking to the upside of this consolidation. Yeah, you're likely going to miss the boat if you don't get involved now, but follow and follow Jordan and myself and Heath closely, because what's going to happen next, we'll probably, the same price we're at right now, we're going to come back down to this price again, or close to it. We might sell off from 100 to 70,000, right? But we're not going to be too far off this price. So you will have another safer entry down the road on the next 30% sell-off, which will put us, it might put us at 70,000, put us above where we're at. But you do want to take advantage of the next leg up, because we have every indicator in the book tells us we're going up from here, right? There's nothing. I'm no longer concerned about anything unless something drastic were to change. I'm not concerned anymore. I think the definite direction is going to be up from here. So as long as it continues to hold out, the technicals continue to hold out. 70,000 is the low end of where we go, and 100,000 is kind of the higher end of where we go. So if you're not involved and you want to get involved, you probably want to ride that wave. But just be well aware that if you buy now, just know you're gonna have a scary moment here in a couple months when the price comes back down and you're barely in profit, and you're freaking out, thinking, oh, do I need? And I need to sell while I'm still profitable as it's coming down 70, 68,000, and you sell 68,000, it bounces right off of that back up. It's gonna happen. So just be aware of that if you buy right now. But ride 60 to 100,000 with us. Oh, Craig. Oh, great. Thanks. Yeah, people. I know what I find that people on the live stream misinterpret what I say a lot less than the Discord. I get random comments in Discord about people getting angry about stuff I say or whatever. I'm like, what on earth? And then I get on the live stream and say the exact same thing, and everybody's like, oh, it makes sense. And nobody seems to complain about the same exact thing I said on the live stream that I'm trying to say in Discord. So it's the medium of me talking, and I can explain more and walk you through my thought process as opposed to just posting a thought, the few words and a chart on Discord. I think stuff gets lost in translation for sure. All right. But thanks. Appreciate that, Craig. Do I have any videos on how to build a mining rig? No, I have a video on mining, just how to get started with mining. I should do a video on how to build a mining rig. Literally, when I was 19 years old, I started my own. When I was in high school, I had my own side business of doing PC repair and building gaming computers. But yeah, I was 19. I had a shop and employees, and we built gaming computers and did small business support. And so I know that's definitely an area of that I know well, is building hardware, building PCs and gaming rigs, and mining rigs and stuff. Mining rigs are pretty simple. Really, I'm just gonna tell you the basic elements you need right now. It's super simple. You need a mining rig chassis, and I wouldn't get into it right now. This is a terrible time to get into it. Mining rig chassis. So you want one of these chassis that'll hold your video cards above the video. It's just an open air. It's something simple, like 50 bucks is fine. That's what I have. It's something like this. My little home built mining rig is just something just like this, right? So you put your motherboard and your stuff on the bottom here. And the only thing you really need to know is that you need a motherboard with a bunch of PCI slots. So it's 6 times PCIe slots, at least. That's a pretty good system. So it gets you an inexpensive, ATX micro, whatever they call the newer form factor. I forget, it's a different name for it now, I think. But you need plenty of power, so you got to size the power. That's the bigger thing. I did the mining video I walked through how to size the power of the video cards, how to figure out how much power consumption you're going to have, and to figure out profitability, right? So I wanted people to be profitable. If you're going to mine, you need to know, the capex on your card, your electric costs, and how much you're going to generate per day, and your return on investment. So you need to calculate that before you get started. For sure. So start with my how to get started mining video. But for building a mining PC, just get one of these cheap open air crates like you see here. So what it is you have this motherboard, right? You have a processor, memory, a hard drive, and you can put Windows on it and run like NiceHash. That's the simplest way to get started is just to put Windows on it and run software called NiceHash, and that'll get you started as simple as possible. And then you get a little more advanced. You can have a NiceHash stick, or you can do a Linux machine. The best way to do it probably is to have a Linux machine, and there's all kinds of programs that'll go through a bunch of algorithms to find the most profitable coin and be mining that, and but NiceHash is the easiest way to get started. I talk about just go to my how to get started video. But you buy this motherboard that has at least 6 PCI cards, and you have these PCI riser cards, just little ribbon cables. There's little cables that extend the PCI card from the bottom up here to the top. And then, of course, you have your power that runs up to the top, too. And you load this thing up with fans. The fans are blowing across the cards. But you see it right here, what I'm pointing at? That's the, can I make this bigger? It's the power. There you go. So it's all cabled up, right? So you got this. You need a power supply that has enough power. So you got to power size all this. You need to know how much power consumption your video card's going to use. Make sure you have a power supply that'll power them. This is the motherboard just in there by itself, right? So you have these little riser cards. These are PCI cards, PCIe cards, or slots. You just have this little cable that runs up from the bottom up to the top, and you plug into the back, or you plug. It's a little rail, right? So you slide the video card into this little PCIe looking thing, and the cable runs down to the bottom, and so this whole frame just holds all that together. That's the simplest way to build one. So go outside of that. All you really need to know is to get this little frame, and get the cheapest motherboard and processor combination that's reliable for this setup, right? And whatever drive space you can run. You don't need a physical hard drive too. You can run mining rigs on USB sticks, so you can just have a USB stick for basically your drive if you want. But if you're going to do it Windows with NiceHash, you probably want a drive on it. Anyway, I should probably do it. I need to do when I get my YouTube studio set up. I'll definitely do a video where I actually just build one. I might just build one straight and just walk through how to build one. That's a fun thing. I mean, it's easy. It's really easy to do. Matic. I would like to add. If I'd like to add to my Matic position, where do you recommend? How do you see it going? Matic. I've got a little bit of Matic. It's kind of a moonshot for me. I don't really know how high I can go. Looks like a great place to add right now. Actually, just I draw these lines and stuff on the chart without. I can kind of just see it myself. But you see, I'm just gonna what I just saw immediately. There's a support level right there. Right, you see the top of these wicks right here. I'm gonna do this with lines. My eyes immediately saw these 2 wicks and saw that lined up over there. I saw a monster breakout. I saw it come down, consolidate right on top of that level, break up above here. This was obviously a level that they tried to hold before, and now you're getting you're potentially printing an entry signal right here, breakout, retest, resumption. So, on the BTC chart. And if we think Bitcoin's going up and Matic's going to outperform Bitcoin, it looks like a decent spot to add right now to me. Not financial advice. Don't listen to what I say. You'll lose all your money. Same chart on the USD chart. Yeah, looks fine. Looks good. Is Chili's the same with Doge? Thanks. No, Chili's is not. Chili's is legit, I think. Pretty sure. CHZ. Alright, the crypto. What the heck? Isn't it CHZ? Yeah. Let me go double check which one Chili's is, the project was. I'm pretty sure Chili's is a legit project. It's not a Doge project, that's for sure. Yeah. Esports crowdfunding. I looked briefly at this. The market potential. I don't understand the market potential, so I'm not super. Yeah, this is like the sporting thing. Oh, this is don't they sell ticket? Basically like a ticket system for sporting events, something like that. It's a legit project. It's definitely not like a Dash thing. Look at that. Oh, you're talking about maybe the pump and dump? Good night. Look at that pump. You cannot buy here. I would not buy here. Well, I don't know. This looked a lot more foreboding than this over here. This doesn't look so bad. All right, so it pumped from a few pennies, 5 cents to 68 cents. That's a bit much. If you're trading it, you There's a setup. It's here. Right? I can see it, but I'd be cautious. Much legit project. I mean, if you're holding it and you just want to, I would take some. If it was me, I would have already taken profits on this somewhere, and I'd just be waiting for it to cool off to see what happens next. I probably wouldn't be 100% out. I'd have taken 50% off or so. At least taken my initial entry out for sure. That'd have been my initial off the table. Would have been off the table. Yeah, I probably would have taken my initial investment off the table, like on this spike, and then on this big spike I would have taken some profit, and then I'd be looking to buy back in at some point myself too if I was in this one. I'm not, but Capital B says I'm kicking them in the element balls. I'm sorry, I don't know where that comment came from, honestly. Safe Moon Coin, I don't know anything about Safe Moon Coin. What do you think about Light Entry? Is this the Lit coin? Lit, L-I-T? Light Entry? Hold on. Is that Lit? Lit's a cool project. Litany? Lit? Oh yeah, this is gonna be in Fuego. Yeah. This is a polka dot? Yeah. This is one of like the stronger polka dot substrate projects. Absolutely. This is fantastic. It's one of the few you can buy actually too now, huh? Lit. Yeah, I have some of this. Yeah. I haven't talked about this one yet. I should. I have some. But that's because it's a polka dot substrate project, and I haven't come up with my list of my recommended polka dot substrate projects. I have like 6 of them right now. Trying to remember what specifically about this project I got really excited about when I read it. I'm trying to find it for you guys. I'm just not. There was something really cool about this project. Like, it sounds less exciting reading this. Like, I skimmed through this myself and I didn't. It's not what I like. I remember there was something like it. It very easily clicked with me that this could be a lot bigger than what they were building it for initially. That was kind of I just don't remember exactly what it was with this project. But I like it. Let's legit. All right. I think so. I don't know because I have not heavily researched it. I bought a little bitty bit when I was going through all the polka dot substrate potential substrate or parachain slot winners, the ones that are going to be like kind of clearly have a lot of support for the parachain auction coming up. Or the auction coming up. I went and bought a couple when I was just researching them, just a little bit, just to have some. And that was one of them. Reef is another one. Ave. Ave is not a pair. Somebody asked about Ave, so I'm gonna look at it for them. Woo! They don't look too good, does it? Oh, that looks better. I put it back up. Still, I've never owned Ave. Never. I don't see the upside for a lending platform. It used to be called Lend, right? They renamed it from Lend to Aave. And a lot of people are really excited about it and the whole DeFi craze, but I never really was, to be honest with you. But you have this downtrend right here. I had a support on here at one time. I think I was thinking about buying it. You see this wick down right here? Corresponds with these candles right here on the daily. This top wick right here. And the daily. Yeah, I mean, I don't think this wick might hold. You see this? There's a here. It's a really weak support because it's like the only really significant play. The little couple of wicks there. This right here, because it lines up with these bodies on these candles. This wick here, that's going to be your support. If you come down to here and hold that, and then break out of this downtrend, then that could be a really good explosive play back to the upside here. But I think you'll probably find yourself something like that. That's what I would imagine is probably going to happen to Aave. And then the next move might not be as explosive, but again, Bitcoin's going to drag a lot of things up, so we'll just have to see. Which altcoin would you recommend for a potential parabolic run when Bitcoin hits 100,000? When or all along the way? So if we're talking about, these are my projects right now. I think you will not go wrong being in Ethereum. You know, it's going to move. It might move 1.5. You know, it might move slightly more when the FOMO phase kicks in. EIP 1559 is going to be a nice catalyst. But the problem is that those miners strike, it's a lot of FUD that could be drummed up too, because the miners are going to put on a 51%, you know, show of force, take over the network type thing. And so this is going to force Ethereum to possibly move to proof of stake earlier. And, you know, if that doesn't go well, it's really bad. But I don't think it'll be. I think it'll be just fine. But outside of Ethereum, Cardano, Polkadot, Chainlink does its own thing. You know, we saw earlier, we looked at Chainlink. It does pretty well correlate with Ethereum, actually. But it does pump at its own time. I think you're fine there. Stellar. I've got Litecoin on here because I've been watching it for an entry. I do not like Litecoin. I don't hold it. I don't like it. I mean, I used to like it. It's fine. It's not like a bad. It's not XRP, but it doesn't have a it doesn't have a use case anymore. So that's the problem I have with it. So yeah, the main ones are Polkadot, Cardano. I would say if you really want to get some good accelerant and be safe with it. My other like pet projects, the Graph, I think is going to pump anytime now again. Yeah, it's probably, I lost this little area right here. But the Graph is a good one to keep a close eye on. I'm just give you some more sleepers. VXV does its own thing. It's an AI play. It's a tiny, tiny small cap. It's by far my smallest that I have. Synthetics is a great one. Not looking good right now. Look at that. Synthetics do the same thing Aave is. This is the post DeFi summer kind of lull for like these DeFi names. I love Synthetics. I think Synthetics is great. So Synthetics would be a good one. Loopring. And these are all maybe, I'm looking at the Bitcoin chart, they may be coming into levels of support and maybe making an explosive bounce back, you know? I don't know. So I would say if you want to get real, Engine's already moved so much, I can't, you know, tell you that anymore. I mean, I recommended Engine down here. Like it was on, when Engine was down here, wherever this was, price level, this is where I recommended it. Right at the end of, yeah, I put out my top sleeper cryptos for 2021. It was down here. It was like early 2021. I put that video out, literally at the bottom. So can't recommend that anymore. It's too far gone. Ren's another good one. I don't like Ren as much as Synthetics, but Ren's okay. API 3 is fantastic. There's another great one. It was a small name, small name. It's not going to necessarily move with Bitcoin though. It's going to move like with Chainlink. It's going to do its own thing. That doesn't look too good though. Yeah, so if you want to move with Bitcoin, right? If you want things that are going to move with Bitcoin, I'm going to say Loopring, because Loopring's going to move with the scaling stuff, with all the stuff that Ethereum's going through, and Ethereum's going to move. So Loopring should probably get a bounce back. I'm going to say Synthetics, because it should bounce back. These are probably more buying opportunities / things that should get some fuel, so get lit. Get a fire under their rear ends with Bitcoin making a move. Cardano and Polkadot. If you really, really, really want the safest play to follow the next big uptrend following Bitcoin outside of Ethereum, Polkadot. That would be my ultimate recommendation, even above Cardano, because the parachain auction is going to cause a lot of hype here very soon. All these projects they've got coming on, it's going to be like it's going to be huge. Polkadot, I think Cardano is going to be bigger in the second half of the run. I think Polkadot's going to be bigger right now, like in the next month or two. I think Cardano's kind of in a in-between stage. They got Mary's out, hard fork out, multi-asset now. They're probably going to be doing their Ethiopia announcement any day now. Could have a Coinbase listing, but so could Polkadot's not on Coinbase either. And the reason they're not on Coinbase is because Coinbase apparently is pretty friendly with Ethereum, and they don't want to list these two competitors to Polkadot. But yeah, Cardano's going to be in a bit of a lull. It'll still probably perform fairly well, but it'll lag Polkadot in the next coming months. And then Cardano should, when Goguen comes out, probably in June, July, sometime between July and September, I think Cardano's going to just like blow the doors off of everything. But that's down the road. I think Polkadot now, Cardano later. There's my ultimate answer. I looked at Aave. Oh, somebody asked about something at 10 minutes ago. What's up with Filecoin? Yeah, I did poo-poo Filecoin, right? I just don't understand it. So just know that it's not because I have anything specific against it. I just don't understand what the use case is for it, and I haven't had the time to do that research. It just wasn't important enough to me to go to dig into this one particular thing, because it's in a space I just didn't understand. I don't understand how the blockchain is useful at all for decentralized, like for storage. There's a million other ways to do storage. I don't understand where the blockchain comes into play, and because of that, for those reasons, I'm out. I'll probably eventually research it, but I haven't had time to research Filecoin. So yeah, ask people in the chat, not me. Theta USD T-Fuel. Yeah, T-Fuel's pumping, isn't it? I was thinking, yeah, Theta. Somebody said what I was missing on Theta. Theta, like, I poo-pooed. I wasn't too big on Theta, like I wasn't too big on Filecoin, because I don't understand. What I still don't understand, I haven't taken the time. It's just I just literally haven't had the time or made the time, or more probably pertinently, to research it. You know, chart-wise, it's holding this parabolic uptrend, so you can still probably trade Theta just fine. You know, you're going to get an entry here. You can see it clear as day, right? I hope you can. It's like super obvious. Well, these wicks are kind of more telling of that. See that? Yeah, those wicks and that body right there. Perfect. All right. So resumption off of that looks beautiful. I think it's a totally tradable. Theta's tradable if you want to trade it, and if you want to buy it, hold it. You know, it's gotten away from you a little bit. I'd wait for some more consolidation, but you never know. I mean, if you like it, buy it. I don't know. I'm not a financial advisor. I don't understand how the blockchain or a cryptocurrency adds anything to a decentralized video streaming service. I don't, like for me, I'm like, when I just think about this very broadly, I can, with a bajillion, with tons of tools readily available today in the open source community, you could build a platform for a decentralized video streaming service without any sort of cryptocurrency involved, and you could just use Bitcoin or whatever to transact, to pay people for different things on the network. So that's why I just didn't get it. I still don't get it because I haven't researched it. There's probably something specific about this I'm missing. There's a lot of big name backers to Theta. Oh, Google, quit listening to me. My Google's listening to me. There's a lot of big name backers behind it, so I probably should research it. I just haven't had time to. Welcome. You're welcome, KF for the Ave. To cast, I do think ADA will do its own thing. Yeah, I do. When the cycle's over, it doesn't matter. What I think is going to happen when the cycle's over is, I think, like all things, the stronger projects will outperform in that they'll go down less. So I think ADA will go down less than some of these other weaker projects because it'll have a lot of hype and a lot of movement. It'll go down though. When Bitcoin sells off 85%, it's the reserve asset for crypto. It's going to drag everything else down, and so ADA is going to be fighting the headwinds of an 85% sell-off. So, ADA might sell off 50% instead of 85%. In theory, and the other part of it is altcoins will peak higher. They'll probably outgain Bitcoin, so they have more downside too. So in theory, altcoins should. If Bitcoin sells off 70% to be fair, if Bitcoin sells off 70%, altcoins should sell off 85%, right? In theory, most of them, because they've had a higher move on the upside. So Cardano might be a victim of that just because it goes to insanely high levels at the peak. I mean, I wouldn't be too terribly shocked because the FOMO around Cardano is going to be it's going to be unreal when Goguen goes live and they're fully blowing and going. Polkadot and Cardano both are just going to be absolutely on fire. but I think Cardano especially during that time. So it may reach some ridiculous, number. And so the sell-off's going to look bad because, what if Cardano hits something crazy like $30? I don't think it's going to go that high, but it's, I suppose it's not impossible. So yeah, it could look like the sell-off is really, really bad, but I think this time next year, in the middle of the worst part of the bear market, I think Cardano will be at least 5 times what it is now. So that's kind of my thesis on it. That's another way to look at it. Like from where we're at today is probably a better way to look at it than what the sell-off will be at the peak. I think Bitcoin will probably maintain about this level roughly, maybe a little bit lower, maybe 50, maybe 70. Maybe 100 would be the bottom. I don't know. I really don't know. But I imagine 50 or so probably the bottom of the next bear market. I think Cardano and Polkadot's their bottom at the bear market will probably be $105 respectively or something. I gave my BNB opinion earlier, so if you want us to back up the video a little bit. But yeah, Tootcast, and that's the last. I'll end on that thought, right? So I do think Cardano is going to do its own thing. The bear market, in that it'll, underperform. It won't be as bad as some of the others. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap up. I went over time. I'm trying to keep these to an hour. You guys are probably getting sick of hearing me talk anyway. Take care. Thank you all.